changes spanning generations, or a shift in the wind, a body dormant underground. This world is right.
Welcome to Onward Live, a live stream focused on encouraging you to create a life you love living now. Let's go beyond success to significance. Being clear on our why is crucial. It requires doing the inner work, finding ourselves, getting to know ourselves, embracing our inner child, shedding social conditioning, and letting go of perfect. We know obstacles make us stronger. We can dream big and take action. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. I invite you to tune in every week and engage with me and my inspiring guests. Invite your friends. Let's make time for what matters most in our lives. Let's move onward together. Hi, everybody. I can see that we've got some people joining us tonight, so I'm so excited that you're here. Let us know in the chat where you're watching from, and thank you for joining us tonight. I'm excited to bring my guest, Sparkle Lindsay, onto the show in just a minute. My name is Emily Harman. I'm the host of the Onward podcast or the Onward live show, and then I broadcast it as a podcast about a month later. So I love having these shows where I talk about with my guests about how they've created a life that they love living. And I'm so excited to bring Sparkle on because Sparkle and I met in person in Denver, Colorado, just about a month ago, a little over a month ago. And it was so nice to meet her. Michael Potterano introduced the two of us. So let me switch my graphic here. And there she is. There's Sparkle.
Hey.
And she really does sparkle when you meet her live. You know, she's sparkly. Except for that, she's short.
Hey. My secrets, Emily.
I mean, right now she looks like she's about the same size as me, but yeah, I've got a picture. I've got proof. She's pretty short.
I know Michael was like, she really is short. I was like, really, guys? Like, I'm right here.
I know. Well, you took it well. So we've got, I want to just recognize some of the guests and where they're watching from. We've got Sylvia Morris from Florida, and we've got Oklahoma. People, Carrie Stewart from Oklahoma, and let's see, Suzanne Cummings. Yes, you just joined. Thank you. And we've got Lygia from Costa Rica. She's a regular watching here. We've got New York City watching. Sandra Dorsey, Dee Baker from Charlotte, North Carolina. Hi, Dee. And Suzanne says she's from Lady Lake, Florida. And then Nikita is saying hello. Thank you. And she's calling in from Alabama. Oh, Suzanne might be shorter than you. I don't know. Let's see, Sparkle. 4'11".
Yes, I am 5'4". Do not you try to put me 4'11", a little short, Suzanne.
4'11", it does qualify as short. Apparently 5'4" doesn't qualify as short. To Sparkle, I say it does, but you know what? We're all great, right? No matter how tall we are. I remember once when I worked for the Navy, I hired somebody over the internet, never met her. And then when I first met her, I'm like, she was taller than me. I'm 5'11". She was about 6'1". I was like, wow, you're tall. So, hi, Kenny D. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, hi, Kenny.
Okay. Oh, and so everyone's sharing their height.
Yeah, I see.
It's a competition.
She said, I'm 5'3". Wow, is that Nikita?
Well, Sparkle, one of the reasons I want to meet you, and you know this, is because, my daughter lives out in Denver, and we met for breakfast. You were so nice to meet us and just talk about the challenges of working in retail, because I know that you've done that. You've worked in 3 different box stores, and my daughter works at Ross and is breaking her back. And so it was so cool to see the two of you talking, because you understood a lot of what she was talking about. I've never worked in that space, so I don't really know a lot what she's talking about. So
Yeah.
You two seem to hit it off right away.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, well, first things first, I really enjoyed you guys coming up to the Springs, and just giving us a chance to really get in each other's space. So thanks for coming up. I think your daughter is an amazing woman. I
Mm-hmm.
believe that her pivot is coming very, very quickly. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's only going to be a few more little moments, I believe, that are there where she's just kind of like, I think I'm over it, maybe.
Yeah.
But
I
at
think
this
so.
point, with all of those things, when we know that it's time for us to go, it's time for us to go, right? And
Yeah.
only we know in our hearts when it's time, you know.
Yes, we definitely do. So, can you tell us a little bit about yourselves? And I posted this. I said that you were on your last leg. I got this off your website. You were waiting to be fired from your job
Uh-huh.
or hoping you would never wake up. And that's a very tough place to be.
Yeah,
And then you began to realize that you had to change your narrative. And I
yes,
think that's what you're talking about with my daughter. We get really frustrated with things and we start to realize that we're just kind of stressed a lot and we're not really aligned with our values. All these things is when we get that nudge to do something different. And it's kind of scary to get out of your comfort zone. But you left your job and you went on a quest to save your life. So tell us some more.
I went on the quest to save my life. Today is May 4th, 2022, and I am 3 years sober today.
Yes.
And I am loving it. Every bit of my sobriety. I can't. Let me take that back. Hold on. Let's rewind. So,
Mhm.
so I can say that it has been a fulfilling journey, and it has been a hard journey, but it has been worth every bit of it. The day that I decided to take my life back was the day that I knew I'd be sitting here. But it was like few and far between when this would ever come. I
Mhm.
am currently 0 to 3 years is early sobriety. I'm almost out of that early sobriety phase. And so for me, it's like, wow, there's all these different levels and all these different levels of surrender and compassion and just everything you can think of that I am going through right now today. Extremely emotional and extremely blessed. I had a wonderful quantum Reiki session this morning with my father, and I've been doing the quantum Reiki with my father for about a year as well. So it's been great to have the alignment. But one of the biggest pieces for me was I had to figure out, and it's a quote that I wrote. I am at currently 1,096 quotes. I have not had a quote for 3 years that has went up, and there was one that really really stuck with me, and it was sometimes you got to fight yourself for yourself.
Wow. So where do you put these quotes?
So these quotes are all over the place. Instagram,
Mhm.
Facebook. They're every morning. They come up every morning, and I have a morning motivation that goes with it that kind of talks about me being in the now, me being in the present. A lot of people call them manifestations. Some people think I'm in their head. They're like, what the heck, And a lot of it transpires from simple but deep. It's very self reflective quotes and manifestations that you can reflect on yourself and say, what am I doing? Or am I doing okay? Or I am doing amazing. And only you will know, from the inside out what those words really mean to you,
For
you know?
you. Yeah. So repeat again your quote for today.
Well, today's was,
Or if you remember, well, what was the one that you just gave? It wasn't for today.
the one that I gave today was sometimes you got to fight yourself for yourself.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
a lot of people don't always necessarily know what that means, but I do.
What's
And
it mean for you?
I was in my way. I was
Mhm.
in my way thinking that I had to fix everything but myself.
Yes,
So,
I've been there.
yes,
All that needs to change and then I'll be fine.
and all this change and everybody else's issues need to change and then we'll all be great, but all along I was not great. And a big portion of what I do now helps me stay in my greatness,
Mhm.
helps me accept my greatness for what it is, and helps me love me for who I am. But the only way I got there was by having somewhat of a bottom. you know? And not everybody has to have a bottom, but when you're talking about any type of addictions, not just alcohol addiction, but when we're talking about transformation in general, there's always this piece where you have in the back of your mind, sometimes 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, where you're like, what am I doing? And
Yes.
it's this aha moment that's like, the only person that's going to be able to fix it is me. So I can run from it or I can tell myself the truth.
And sometimes we run from it for a while, or it's not that loud, and then it gets louder and louder because we ignore it, right?
Yes, we ignore the red flags. We ignore the things that tell us, hey, it's time to move forward. And then there's times when our higher power just says, you don't have a choice. Take it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's it. Right. And that
Yeah.
was where I was. It was like either you're going to do something to fight for your life or you're not going to make it. You are not going to make it. It's one of the scariest feelings I've ever experienced, I would say. And one of the scariest feelings I experienced because everybody else around me thought I was fine. They
Mhm.
they didn't even notice it. It was just Sparkle's fine. And she's going to be able to get through it like she normally does. And she's going to be able to fix this. But
How could
ultimately,
you be an alcoholic and people didn't notice it?
well, sometimes they call that kind of a functioning alcoholic.
Hmm.
I don't believe in functioning alcoholics. I believe that we function in some areas, but we're still not functioning from the inside out. We're not aligned,
Hmm.
But I had done this work so much. 14 years of my life, I was on autopilot. I knew it.
Yes, the work at the box stores, right? Yeah, you just knew what you had to do and you just did
Right.
it.
As an athlete, I played college ball, tried out for the WNBA, turned it down. I battled autoimmune conditions for 12 years of my life. I still have them. So there was a portion of my life that was just adjusting to whatever needed to happen, and it was surviving. I didn't know I was surviving. I thought I was just living. But
Hmm.
all of that trauma, all of that stress, hurting, not resting, fixing everybody but me, there was a point where I broke, and that point where I broke was where I had an employee kill himself in front of me. And I lost it. Trauma hit me. I still had, all this festered anxiety. Then I had never visited things that hurt me. I was
Hmm.
suppressing my emotions. And I just knew, I was taking shots and giving myself shots of chemo for lupus. And I knew it was gone. I was going down. I was going down slowly, but I knew it was happening. And everybody around me, it's like I was screaming in a room full of people. No one could hear anything I was saying. They just said, it's Sparkle. She'll be all right. She'll get through it. It's a
Well,
scary.
when you're kind of come across, which you do and I do, as a tough woman, you can handle anything or
Yeah.
whatever, and
Uh-huh.
people just assume you can handle everything. So, when that happened, when that employee shot himself in front of you, is that when like all of the past emotions kind of started to come up for you?
Well, I started having nightmares
Mm.
and I hadn't had, and prior to that, at 21, I was in a wheelchair for 6 to 8 months due to my autoimmune conditions that they couldn't figure out.
Mm.
So not only was I battling new stuff, but I still had old stuff that was just seeping out of my pores. And at this point, I was exhausted and I
Yeah.
wasn't feeling well, and I knew that I just knew things weren't going to be okay. But I do know that I didn't really, and a lot of people in the African American world, we're getting better at it. A lot of us, we don't do therapy.
Yes, I've heard that from other guests and stuff.
We
Yeah.
have, yeah, we've never been taught that therapy was like a good thing till now. And it's great because now you see a lot of us African American people being able to talk about what made us who we are today.
Hmm.
You can't talk about your stuff if you can't be vulnerable with your stuff to you.
Right.
But if you don't talk to anybody about it and you feel like the word strong means putting yourself aside to help everyone else, you've got to rechange that and think, wait a minute. If I take care of me first and I'm full all the way up to the top and I start having an overabundance to give, Now I'm being strong. I chose me first, right?
Yeah.
And so those were, I mean, having to do that, it's taken 3 years and it will take the rest of my life to do this. But the greatest feeling in the world is when you're stepping in your power and you're moving forward, knowing that you're doing it for you. And that is exactly where I am today, knowing that everything I've done, books that I've written, podcasts I've done them for me because they make me feel whole. And hopefully the things I say can evolve and help others as it may, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. So, oh, I love that. And I think we're all addicted to something. I
Hmm.
can be addicted. I was, and maybe I still am addicted to busyness. So
Hmm.
I've learned how to not be busy, but that took a lot of the inner work for me to learn that.
Hmm.
It's a way of avoiding my feelings, right?
Yes.
And I used to think, because I've told you my son's an alcoholic. We're in recovery almost 5 years,
Right.
and I used to think, oh, Will's drowning his feelings in alcoholism, and I couldn't help him. But I didn't look at myself and realize I was drowning my feelings in busyness.
Yes. And you just said it. You were drowning in your feelings. This is the greatest piece. So someone asked me, they said, "So you just deal with people who are battling alcohol and addiction?" And I said, "Well, first things first, um, alcohol and addiction is a symptom. But what
Hmm.
is my root addiction? Well, it's codependency. It's rescuing.
Hmm.
It's depression. It's all the things that my subconscious mind wants to grab onto when I want to bring back the symptom, which is alcohol and addiction, to numb how I truly feel. So if you are a person who thinks, well, I don't have an addiction problem, well, do you have an emotional wellness issue going on? Do you have codependency issues going on? Is there obsession issues going on? If so, all of these things deserve attention and positive transformation, right?
Hmm.
So that is where, when you wrote that on the top there, talking about positive transformation, it's really whatever you are battling in any type of addiction.
Right. You're a transformation coach. You help
Yes.
with all that. Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm. And it's
So, uh,
sitting with yourself. You were talking about the emotions, and it's sitting with yourself in those emotions, sitting next to the elephant in the room, riding the elephant till his legs fall off, and being able to say, I am one with my emotions. I enjoy them. They're becoming of me, and they always will be. When you're feeling
yeah.
the feels, you step into your power doing so, you know?
And how often, here's another example of what could be an addiction or avoiding feeling our feelings is how often do we come home and have just a glass or two of wine, or sit and flip through the channels on Netflix and watch some Netflix and just numb out, or numb out by scrolling through our social media. Those are all ways that we avoid what's really going on deeper inside us.
Yep. We avoid it, we mask it,
So
and
here's a question. What's your go-to self-care? Mariah asks.
so my whole entire program that I do as a recovery coach, transformation coach, is I actually challenge people to reinvent their routine every 3 months. I reinvent my routine every 3 months, and a lot of it involves my sobriety first, and then my self care second, and then work. Okay. Now,
Hmm.
why did I do that? Because I was a workaholic and I almost didn't make it, right? My life comes first. So, for self care acts, what I did when I first started is I pulled a list for women 35 to 65 to older. And I went down the list of things that I had never tried before in my life. And I said, well, I guess I'm going to try them. And I did them by myself. And most of those things I love to do, jazzercise class at 5 in the morning, aerobics, in water aerobics. That is some rough stuff.
It is.
Working out. I love to go to movies by myself, and I plan it around like 12 o'clock in the day. So it's like the movie theater's all mine, and then all the popcorn in the world I want. So, like, I put these into my schedule so that no one else when they're scheduling on my calendar can schedule there, which means I have something to look forward to every day. This morning it was Reiki. Monday mornings it's Reiki. My physical stuff, I work at 6 in the morning. So I truly, truly put everything that I've used. The sculpting one I didn't do very well at. That's not on my self-care list anymore.
Sculpting, like being a sculptor?
Yeah, they let you try it.
Okay.
Painting, I did painting with not a twist, but with coffee. Because
Did you ever try pottery?
yes, love it.
Pottery's
And what
pottery's.
else? Relaxing. And I always get my massages because I have lupus. I always get my hair done. That is a big piece. And on top of that, nails done. Just making sure that you feel great.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we put ourselves aside, our hair's not done. We don't take baths because we want to take showers and hurry up and rush our whole time. Well, my entire schedule involves that first. And if I don't have my sobriety or my self-care first, you guys, I'm not going to get very far.
Mhm.
3 years of this consistent intentions to be who I am today are because of my intentions to make this a part of me for the rest of my life,
It's a
instead
decision.
of a goal. Yeah.
It's a decision.
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. I love that. So when you named this show Accepting Your Greatness, what do you mean by that?
So I was sitting in a Reiki session, obviously, and and I'm like, got this fear. I'm talking to my dad, and I'm like, Dad, I have this fear. I'm sitting in the void of happiness. I don't know why. I'm not sure what's going on. And out of nowhere, this feeling comes to me. And I'm like, I'm working so hard, and I know I am, but there's a portion that was missing. And that was the gift of accepting myself, accepting the things that I have done. Like today was like, I accept this. I accept my greatness. I accept my mission. I accept my challenge. I accept the person I intend to be and the person I'm entitled to be. And a lot of that was from me writing my book, being a better me for me, and continuously reciting these things to myself to say, I accept my greatness and everything that comes with it. And it was the hardest thing for me to say when I first did it.
Yeah. You say these affirmations, you may not always feel it or believe it. You might, but like for it can be challenging for us. I mean, I don't show my wall, but it's got like 4 pretty big awards on it from the Navy, and I show it. Sometime I did an episode with one of my coaches, and we talked about these awards. I had to get up and explain how I got each of them. Made me feel uncomfortable, but it's like I did that, and I'm proud of it. I did it with my team. I led my team, so you definitely should be proud of everything that we do and accept that we all have a reason for being here on Earth, and we all should share our greatness. What if everyone shared their greatness with
Yeah.
everybody else?
And if everyone shared it in a way that was humble in saying like, wow, I've
Yeah,
done this. Like I literally this morning, I went and I got my chip, my 3-year
3
chip.
years. Uh-huh.
And the thing I kept talking about was the gift of understanding the compassion I have found, these layers of compassion that I've found for myself, that I'm not afraid to shout out to the world. And I will never be. But there was a part in my life where I didn't know any of this. I had lost it. And
Mhm.
so when you lose something and then all of a sudden you find it, how does it make you feel? It makes you feel the bomb, right? So
Yeah,
you find yourself
that's
and
a huge thing to find.
yeah, you find yourself and some, and you find who you were when you didn't know who you were to begin with. It's like it all clicks. And that's why you'll see, I say figuring out where you fit in your puzzle is key.
Mhm.
We talk about the 4 walls. Well, my 4 walls, my body, my temple, I am becoming more curious about it every day. And I've said this from day one to now that if you are not being curious about yourself, shame on you. Go get it. Figure out what makes you tick. Figure out why you have the greatness you have. There was not a moment when I'm like, this is it. This is my greatness. It was a feeling. It was a
Hmm.
feeling that we suppress and that we push aside. But when you allow all of that to transpire, oh my God, the feeling of the void of happiness and tears of joy is amazing. And that is accepting your greatness and then sitting in it because you
Yeah.
got to sit in the happiness, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I'm just putting up all these
Oh,
awesome quotes. Your sparkle is spread as a great light and of hope for all of us. And yes, that's truly, yeah. And I want to just show something because for some reason, Sparkle's background isn't showing up the way she would like it. So here, I'm going to show you this. There's her background. Look at that light in the tunnel.
yes, the light at the end of the tunnel. That is it. It's Sparkle LLC, the light at the end of the tunnel. And I remember in a podcast about maybe 2 years ago, I talked about coming out of a deep, dark depths of a cave. And there's something pulling you, but you just keep going. And I know that today, for me, I've been crawling and crawling. And to finally see the light, I am just astonished and amazed that it is possible. Everything is possible if we allow ourselves and we change our narrative, tell ourselves great things. And I want all of you guys to promise yourselves that you will tell yourself great things every day. And when you do that, the light, it just gets brighter and brighter. And before you know it, it blinds you. It blinds you into nothing but clarity and love for yourself. And so that is what I have right now. And what I see after 3 years of such a huge run in my life, I've noticed that things are things are just getting started.
Hmm.
And that right there is the greatest feeling I've ever felt in my life. So, and I'm very honored to be on this show tonight.
Oh, I'm so glad that you're here because it was cool. I was talking with Sparkle and I said, you know, I'd love to have you on the show. And a date that I suggested was 4 May because I happened to have a spot. And she's like, well, that's the day of my 3-year sobriety. That wasn't a coincidence.
Yeah.
So, you know, isn't that cool? That it happened to be tonight and we could celebrate tonight and honor your greatness, Sparkle. Yeah.
It was pretty cool because Melanie Ake from Everyday Leaders had me on last year, May 4th, live around this time as well for 2 years. So for the 3 years, for you to just bring it up, I said, okay, I gotta do it. I gotta do it. Emily, we own it. We gonna do it together. You know?
Yeah. Mariah says, be so proud of you, Sparkle. We all are. You lead us with an amazing light. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit. Just, you know, I had a guest on the other day, about 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, Nicholas, and he was talking about Reiki and how Reiki helped him go from like, I don't know, I can't remember exactly, but it was like 12 or 20 panic attacks. I think it was a day to
Yeah.
like 1 or 2 a year, maybe.
Mhm.
And when I met you, you told me that your dad, Philip, is a Reiki master
Yes.
and I had never done Reiki, and it was right around the because oh yeah, because it was when I met you when I was in Denver. Drove my daughter and I drove down to Colorado Springs. You told me about your dad, and then that same week
Yeah.
I interviewed Nicholas from Anna's house about Reiki, so that I'm getting more and more curious. And I just thought, well, let me just try Philip out, and I've had 3 sessions with him
Uh-huh.
and he's awesome. I really he's helped me he's helped me with so many things in my life, you know, helped me see things differently, sent me healing energy for my hips that were hurting. I mean, and after sitting for an hour for our session on the floor on one of those meditation pillows, I was able to get up without feeling any pain in my hips.
Mhm.
So it's just yeah, tell us about your dad and how he heals people.
Well, my daddy, my dad is an amazing dad. I have 3 brothers and a sister. There's 5 of us, and when he took up quantum Reiki, he's been doing Reiki for a while, almost 6 to 9 years. And when he took up this, I was apart from a lot of my family for about, I want to say, a year or so when I went into treatment and everything else. And so, one of the greatest parts about this, I'm going to get emotional again, but one of the greatest parts about it is my dad said, you know what? Why don't we try some quantum Reiki? Let's try it for your addiction, for your you finding yourself again, realigning yourself, finding yourself through energy. Let's clear these chakras, let's block the chakras, and let's let you become whole again. Because what's happening is a lot of people who are captive to the addiction or captive to the meeting, like we want to hold ourselves to that, but there's a whole nother side of our life that we just don't give ourselves a chance to see. Well, as soon as I hit that table, every piece of pressure in every chakra, from the crown all the way down to the root chakra and so forth, it was pressure. And I could feel the pressure. And I remember my dad saying, breathe through it, just breathe through it. And as it was going down and into the alchemy circle, pushing out all of those blockages, all of those things that I've been blocking for my whole life, I was able to bring up some things that I needed to visit. And at that point, I had a therapist. So it was very easy for me to now not just talk about the things that were bothering me with anyone, but I could go back to my therapist and really, really get deep.
Yeah.
And it was a really good piece of it. So for me, I started with it and he said, well, let's see how it goes. So then some of my clients who were alcoholic addicts said, well, we want to try it too. So me and him have been keeping a diary, a book of how it has changed the clarity, the sizing up of the lenses, the alignments, the power that it holds for people to actually realize what's going on around them through energy healing. And so we're seeing people who maybe have 3 months of sobriety, their clarity is 6 months,
Hmm.
and they're doing it 2 times a week, consistently. And so for me, I've been doing it for a year, 2 times a week consistently, and we have seen some things. But I can tell when I'm out of alignment, and I can tell when it brings me back in. I can tell when I'm not being honest with myself, where the
Hmm.
different chakras are filling. I can pinpoint those, and that right there, it challenges my intuitive empath, which once again, we talk about the empath, we talk about protecting our energy. And when I finally ran into, my father with this, I've been able to just wrap it up full circle and become a well-oiled machine like I've intended to be. So I needed it to help me expand my mind and my brain to so many other opportunities. And here we are. It's really starting to break through. So
Yeah.
very, very surreal. And the time we spend together, we have so much fun together. I tell you, we be on the screen together, or I come to his house, but for the most part, just exploring all of this has just been a blessing,
Well, it's awesome that you can do that with your dad.
Yes. And I think that too, I love the fact that he was able to say, I don't know much about this addiction piece, Sparkle, and you don't know much about this Reiki piece. Said, but together we can learn a lot about each other. And it just helped him break through and have a way to communicate with alcoholic addicts or people in addiction, period, and how to help us transform by the things that are holding us back.
Hmm.
And those things that are holding us back, sometimes we have to have something uplifted so that we know that it's there, we recognize it, and then we can attack it.
Yeah.
And therefore, now, once that happens, it's in the past, right? Now you can move forward. Now you can feel free to do what you want to do and expand and have the visions that you deserve to have. So
Yeah.
it's powerful, very powerful.
Very powerful. And yeah, I've only had 3 sessions with him. I can't remember when my next one is, but it's coming up, and I'm doing like 6 sessions a month, I think,
Mm,
right now.
good.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I do it over Zoom. I thought, well, how can it work? But we're all in this big energy field,
And
and it
I
can work. It
I
does
also
work.
I also found that a lot of my standing in my truth and me speaking from my heart come a lot from my father and my mother. They are very, very not outspoken, but they just speak their truth. And
Hmm.
um, you don't always get that every time. We get a lot of superficial stuff, but when we get the real deal, it makes us feel valued and it makes us feel like we can do the work. And so I encourage people, if you're a coach, encourage people to do the work by doing the work yourself. You know,
Yes.
when you do the work yourself, oh, your person that you're coaching, this is why I love what I do, but your person that you're coaching or speaking to, they can feel you when you've been through it and you're working through it. And if they're
Yeah,
walking with you, that it's just as surreal for them as it is for you. So practice what you preach. Help people know
definitely.
you're of value. Help yourself know you're of value and keep moving forward alongside the people you're working with so they see your transformation as well.
Well,
That
definitely. Yeah. And I always tell people if you're going to invest in a coach that's doing the work themselves and that is, that you with whom you can relate and that is still getting coaching because we're never done. So I have several coaches um, and I practice what I preach and I share when I struggle with it. And one of the things that your dad helped me with in a Reiki session, he said he felt like my throat chakra was blocked. And I'm like, well, I don't understand because I feel like I'm pretty authentic and I share. But then I realized some areas in my life where I kind of hold back, and I know I coach in the area of mental fitness. So I know my mind holds me back sometimes. Well, should I share that on social media? Would somebody care? And I think when we reveal more of ourselves, that helps people get to know us. And so it was right after that I made a couple of vulnerable posts, and I even made one the other day. I did it just on Facebook. I didn't do it on LinkedIn, but I shared something that I really hadn't shared before, which is that I've had an abortion. And I shared that because when you bring something like that into the light, it no longer holds you down.
Nope, it no longer does.
No shame for it. I did it. Would I do it again based on what I know now? Maybe, maybe not. That doesn't matter. Is that happened to me, and I felt like sharing that, and I still don't regret it because of what just is happening with the Supreme Court and everything. And I know everyone has different opinions, and someone has told me, "Oh, you shouldn't share that. Maybe certain clients wouldn't want to do business with you." And then the thing is that then that's fine because they're not my ideal client, right?
Your ideal client is going to fill you from the inside out as long as you're filling you from the inside out. See, the
Hmm.
difference is there's a person who once told me that they were not accepted by their race. And the first question I said is, do you accept yourself in your race? Because if you walk into any room and you accept yourself for who you are, people don't have a choice but to accept that because that's what you believe in.
Right.
Difference I see here it says I hold back in my current position. And um, I felt like when I was in corporate America, holding back in my current position was what I was supposed to do because those were the rules and regulations. And that's the reason why I couldn't stay. That's the reason why I chose not to. That was what was making me feel trapped. At this point in time now, whatever I say, whatever I do, I have said and become vulnerable with myself with it. I have worked through it day in and day out to be able to give the story of currency. That's the new thing is a story. But we can't, it's hard to tell our truth if we haven't lived our truth. And so, one of the people said there that it's important to practice the things on yourself as a coach. Well, all these little different things that we are learning, the vulnerabilities of you saying, hey, I had an abortion. What's wrong with that? It is okay to speak the things that are holding us down. The things that hold us down are the things we feel are okay to not tell anyone. Well, secrets are what make people go back out in the streets in their addiction.
Yeah.
Secrets are what make people get sick. Secrets are those. Speak to yourself, work with yourself, and when it's time to talk about it and have some good conversation. But standing in your truth, staying honest and authentic with you, can nobody take that away.
Mm-mm.
Especially once you've said it, that's you. And if you feel good about it, nobody else lives in your body but you.
Right.
So enjoy that and accept your greatness.
That's right. Accept your greatness. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Stuff.
so tell us who your ideal client is because I was looking at your website. You can coach in a lot of areas. I mean, you're a nationally certified recovery coach. You're a facilitator for addiction. You can also help people with like, that are workaholics, because you
Yeah.
used to be one of those too.
Yeah.
So yeah, tell us, who you like to work with.
Well, I've made a little bit of a pivot. One of the biggest pieces in my life now is actually I've had the opportunity of having a lot of clients and coaching a lot of clients. But lo and behold, 3 years, I'm like, I did 14 years of corporate America, being a HR advocate, making sure I could hire people, helping people figure out where they fit within companies, helping people figure out their strengths, right? And then I also learned the recovery coaching piece and how to put those together. And so I felt like I was like, I think I might be being a little selfish if I just stick with my 20 clients, right?
Hmm.
And then I said, well, since I facilitate peer recovery coach academy classes and help coaches be great coaches, that's where I need to be. I need to be in that spot where I can help coaches transform into themselves, value themselves, so that when they do sit in people's beautiful disasters, they know they have support when they come out of it.
Yeah.
And so that is where I'm at now. I have my own training academy, Sparkle, the light at the end of the tunnel. It is CCAR certified in Connecticut, obviously, and I call it Ignite Your Light, the Academy. And right now, as a peer support specialist, it's really big because people are using the coaches like this in all ailments of help in the hospitals, in the jails, during cancer, gastric bypass, eating disorders. Any of these things, if you have somebody walking alongside you, then you can do it. And that's
Yeah.
the reason why I turned this into, a business. So that's what I do. I have coaches who come to me and they say, Sparkle, how can I get this out of my client? How can we get this out of the client a little more? And it's like, how can you place, not get it out of them, how do you place it right in their lap and see what they do with it?
Hmm.
Walk with them. Don't tell them. You tell
Yeah.
you
That's
ought
what coaches, it's not, we're not
you
mentors, we're coaches. We help. You've
exactly.
got the answer inside of you. We help pull it
Yes.
out, help you
Because if
pull it
you
out.
told me 3 years ago, Sparkle, you better get sober, I'd be like, so I'm gonna go drink
Right.
and I'll be back, right? But when somebody said it to me, like, so what does it feel like when you drink? I got to going and talking about it. And before you know it, I was like, it doesn't make me feel very good. Well, by the end of the week, I was like, ugh, this doesn't make me feel very good. And I need to figure this out. Right.
Hmm.
So encouraging people, assisting people, walking alongside people. You can't go out there on the football field and score a touchdown for them, right?
Right.
But you can help them plant the seed to get their minds going, to get them to say, what do I want in my life?
Right.
Am I going? How can I take my power back and move forward? What do I need to do to make this happen? And then along the way, you watch people do this, you watch yourself do it, and you got two people transpiring into what they call accepting their greatness. So,
Love it. I love it. Yeah, and I like what you just talked about, because it's along the lines where I coach is like create a life you love living. It's like, how many times do we really design our lives? Like, think about what we want in our life. We just tend to uh, every day do the same thing. And I like what you talked about, changing up your schedule and your routine, because that gets your brain thinking. When we're just doing the same old thing day after day after day, our brain doesn't even have to think. It's just on autopilot. We're on
right.
autopilot most of the time. So is that how we want to live our lives, or do we want to really design our lives to be like we want them? And that's what you've done with your routine. You've designed you're like, I'm putting myself first and I'm designing my schedule that way.
Mhm. And the thing is that we feel like we have to. No, we have choice. And I was like, wait a minute, I don't have to do anything. I can't be a coach and I'm half well. I don't
Right.
I don't want to be. Now, yeah, I've got work to do. We've got work to do. That's how it should look. But not just I just if somebody ever tells you as a coach, I had one coach that I had to let go of and I had a new one, but the old one I had said, it must be nice to get some time off. Excuse me, what? What? That said, I I just don't think this is a good fit. If
Yeah.
you think that it's nice for me to get some time off and I'm coming to you to try to figure out how to get more time off, I don't think we're good.
Yeah.
So
That's right.
just focus on what you truly need, right? Because in my book, it states, it answers being a better me for me, the book and the workbook. It talks about positive affirmations, okay? Who you are. I'm beautiful. I'm smart. I love my smile, telling yourself great things every day.
Hmm.
And then there was a portion during my, recovery here that I said, but let me take it a step further. What do I intend to be? And as I started using words like, I intend to be this, or I am entitled to this, I am worthy of positive transformation. Soon as I started doing that, and another quote that went huge was, be careful what you say to yourself, you're listening. So if
Yeah.
I tell myself what I intend to be, and I throw those intentions of what I want to be and intend to be out there, it is inevitable. It will happen because I believe.
Right.
So you tell yourself that enough,
You
right?
believe it. Yeah.
And as you tell yourself that enough, you believe it. And in turn, it truly does start to happen. It's a manifestation that can happen for you. And that's what I stand by.
Definitely. I completely agree with that. So tell us a little bit more about your book and your workbook.
So my book, at first during the pandemic, I had like 35 to 40 clients. The lines were blowing up. This is before I left Springs Recovery Connection. And all my clients kept asking me the same questions. Okay. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna just draw up a little pamphlet and then and I'll make sure I send it in an email. And I got to writing it and I had my music on and I was like, this is a pocket guide. This is a handy dandy little pocket guide. This is a good little book. And so that's when I came up with 10 tips and tricks to being a better me for me. And so I added my manifestations to it, and all of it is a self reflective book. So as the little pocket guide came out, and it was on Amazon, probably about 8 months later, before that, before the 8 months, someone said, well, I love all the stuff in the pocket guide, but I wish I could write this stuff down. Because I wrote all over my book. And I said, oh, okay. And I said, let me make a workbook. So, so together I came up with the Being a Better Me for Me masterclass and the workbook to go with it, which is actually the first masterclass will be June 18th.
Okay.
It would be the first time that I actually air it out there and put it out so people can go on ahead and purchase it and take the class of Being a Better Me for Me. It is a very simple but deep book. And the reason why I say that is because, well, someone told me that.
Hmm.
After they went through it, they said it's so simple but so deep because it's all within what you are doing for you.
Right.
And you guys know it's hard to sit with yourself and realize the things that need to be changed. And so I just say, take your time through the book, but enjoy yourself and work with yourself through it and go back through the chapters. There's a big boundaries piece in there that how do you even remotely fix your lips to say no?
Yeah.
Right? We know the boundaries piece, or how do we remotely fix it to say that hurt my feelings? Right?
Mhm.
So these are all uncomfortable conversations, but ways to smoothly transition into them by stepping into your power and using the power of your words. So,
Yes.
yeah,
And
by
I'm sure it's like as you read the book and do the workbook, going back again as your awareness of yourself increases, the things that you've written in the book and the workbook will take on a different meaning
yes,
and you'll
every time.
expand, you go deeper.
Well, and the thing is Emily, so during this journey up to the 3 months up to this 3 years, I was talking to my solopreneur coach, Jason Tracy. And I said, Jason, I think I wrote this book for the future. And he goes, "What?" I said, "I have never used my own material so much to get me through day to day." I mean, everything you could think of was trying to alter the conscious mind to go to the subconscious mind and do the things I did not want to do. And I was reading, doing my affirmations, telling myself great things. What am I grateful for? Holding on to some of these urges that were happening. And no matter where you're at in this book, I mean, I could probably put it down and then in the next 6 years,
Yeah.
read it and get maybe something even different because I'm in a different level of my life, but it's still simple but deep. And I
Yeah.
said, I think this is the coolest book ever. And he's like, "Well, you wrote it."
Yeah. Yeah.
Very helpful.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, people can email you too, and they can go to your website. Let's see, you got your website here, Sparkle Lindsay, and that's how they can get to your YouTube channel because you go on your YouTube channel quite frequently, and
Mhm.
you share Sparkle time, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for a moment to shine. It's sparkle time.
Yeah,
Yeah.
moment to shine, it's Sparkle time. And so they're short videos. Some of them are longer, some of them are shorter, but they're just, ways to, um, where you're sharing your excellence, your greatness with everybody and giving them
Yes.
tips, right?
The website I'm on all platforms where I'm on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'm on an AMP sports show that streams only women, amplifying women in sports in 175 countries. So I have been looking at accepting my greatness in all avenues, but my main thing on the website is going to talk to you about the academy. If you're wanting to be a coach and you feel that you're ready to give a little of you, the overabundance of you, not all of you, then yes, please contact me. I do courses through virtual, and I also do courses in person. And the cool part is the last classes I had, Emily, I had like 4 people from the UK.
Oh,
So that was
cool.
really cool. And then I had a few people from Canada. So it's becoming a really big thing, but meeting all these new people who are going through and battling and stuff. The biggest piece is that there's family members like yourself, Emily, and spouses and siblings of people who are also struggling through trying to fight through this addiction piece, right?
Yes.
And a big portion of it, these courses also help the families all together. If you can learn, I mean, Emily, for you, you said it, if you could learn the addict brain, okay, and just some of the things you may or may not be doing right or wrong with somebody who's battling any addiction, it helps both parties. And
Yeah.
so I encourage, my dad, he's also taken my courses. I encourage people to do that so that they can learn each other better, in that family dynamic.
Yeah, because I mean, when somebody's addicted and, with alcohol or even busyness, it impacts not just the individual, but the whole family, everyone around them, right?
Yes, personality, the irritable, agitated, skin
Yeah.
feeling can be anything in that addiction. You know what I mean?
Right, right. And, so awareness is so important. And I think that's what your workbook helps with. That's an area that I coach in, just as we like start to notice things and be aware. So right now, I just had a pretty great opportunity come before me, and that's going to take some time.
Mhm,
And I am looking at like, all right, making sure that I'm controlling expectations for the client as well as myself, because I'm still going to put myself first and not get into that busy mode where I'm working all the time. I'm never going back to
mhm,
that because that's where I lost myself. And so, like what you shared about blocking that time off for
mm,
myself to do what I need to do in order to live a life I love living. Like I do my meditations and my, my affirmations and what I'm grateful for. I have that quiet time in the morning, which
Mhm.
I really gets my day going right. And I'm not giving that up. I'm not giving my exercise up. I'm not giving the fun things I do for myself up. So,
That's the
um,
boundaries, Emily, that we're
yeah,
talking about. Like when you go into a new role, okay, you get to create the role the way you want it. Before
yep,
you go into a place and say you want a job, tell them exactly what you want.
hmm
And tell yourself exactly what you want. Throw it out there and manifest it. Now, once that happens and you go to them and say, don't have somebody tell you what you want. You tell them
right,
this is what I want. This is what works around my schedule. I am trying not to be a workaholic. If these things don't work for you, please let me know.
right. That's right.
Unfortunately, if I am a workaholic again, I'm not a very nice person anyway. So at this
Mhm.
point, what you gonna do, right?
Right.
For you, it's like, hey, I control these four walls, my destiny. I control my destiny. No one else does. Either I say yes or I say no. But no matter what, it comes from here. If it's coming from anywhere else, what's the point?
Yeah, I know. And so it's being aware of that and noticing. I'll give one other example of how it used to be for me. I used to um, anybody that want to be on my podcast, I'd say, yeah, let's make
Mhm.
a date and do the podcast. And so sometimes I would do 2 or 3 interviews in a week, and then I pay money to have these edited and to get the videos done and stuff. So it's coming out of my pocket, and
Right.
at some point, so that's the pleaser in me. And
Mm.
then the person that didn't know how to set boundaries. This was right after I had retired and left my job, and I got busier than ever. And so now I don't do that. And if someone wants to jump the line, um, you know, I I I ask. There's an investment for that to jump the line of the wait list that I have. That's
Right.
how, and I'll do a special interview if I feel like it, but not just to please everybody. And
Nope.
so that's an example. So, you know, everybody has things like this. If we just look at ourselves, when we tend to point and say, this changes, this changes, this changes, like I could have said, so many people are bugging me about being on my podcast. It's, but I'm still putting up with it. No, I have to look at myself. What can I do?
Mhm. What can I do? The
Right.
well, and the power of that, what you just said is, "What can I do?"
Mm-hmm.
How do you play a part in all of
Yep.
your roles to come? How do
Mm-hmm.
you want to play a part? When you find out how you played a part in any marriages, in your addictions, you're like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
I I was doing the most."
Mm-hmm.
You gotta sit with yourself for a minute and be like, "Dang."
Yeah.
What am I going to do to change this, or how, or am I okay with this, right? So I think
Mm-hmm.
a portion of that is being able to tell people. You remember I said it, or I have said it in the past, meet yourself where you're at, and
Right.
then you meet others where you're at. You tell them, this week I've kind of been a real piece of work. I played a part in a lot of things, so I just want to let you guys know I didn't even realize I was doing it till I sat with myself and I said, self, you need to hold some space. You know what I mean? So, same thing for you when it comes to the job and to working. Like, we're gonna have these moments regardless, but are you setting aside time to be able to sit with yourself and ask how you're playing a part in these things
Yep.
and be okay with it?
Yep.
If you're not able to, take a second, reevaluate where you're at. It doesn't have to change your entire work, but it does have to change your way of being, like your way of living. You don't want to live captive to a job that's constantly got you running to the point where when you come home, you need a drink, or when
Right.
you come home, you need whatever. Instead, say, no, I leave at this time, I come in at this time. Unfortunately, phone goes off at this time. But if it's something that's an emergency, maybe I'll get to it. But everybody's emergency is not my emergency. And you let people know that ahead of time so that there's no hard feelings, you
Right.
know? So, yeah, big practices.
They respect you for that.
They do, because they'll say, don't call Sparkle. She done already said that she goes to sleep at 9 o'clock, or she's watching her movie in the movie theater late. Don't call her. She
Right.
told you her plan.
What a great, it was so awesome to talk with you.
You're
I'll just put your website up really quickly. Sparkle Lindsay, Lindsay for people who are listening.com, and it's going to be in the show notes too. And you can email Sparkle if you want to set up a time to meet with her. Can they also set up a time through your website to meet with you?
Yes,
They can.
set up a 15-minute Calendly. Obviously, on all of my DMs, I usually have a lot of people who hit my DMs up, Instagram, Facebook pages, and also on LinkedIn. Really on LinkedIn, it's a big one. So if it's one of those where you want to shoot me a note, you have a question, or you just want pointers on where you go next with your positive transformation, I'm always available, and always excited to see what else is going on out there and how many people are looking to really, really take their lives to the next level. We've got this 3D piece that happens, Emily. But there's people, especially if you're doing Reiki, that are in that 4D and 5D.
4 and 5D. Yeah.
So I challenge you to be 4D and 5D and get in there and start working with yourself. It's real powerful once you get the hang of it.
There's more to this world than the 3D.
Yeah. Oh, heck yeah. Mm-hmm. Know it and I know it.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much, Sparkle. I'm going to put you in the green room and just wrap this up.
Well, thanks so much.
Thank you, everybody, for watching and for commenting. We appreciate you guys. It was great to have you here tonight. It's always nice when you go live to have people watching, and I appreciate that. I want to just put a quick plug in for this event. It's called the World Domination Summit. That's the event I went to in 2014 that actually just changed my life. You can go to their website and read about it. I don't have time to go into it in depth now, but you meet so many awesome people. It's in Portland, Oregon. I'm going this year. This is the 10th year that they're doing it. It'll be my 5th time going, and it's the last year that they're doing it. So if you go to the World Domination website, you'll see sold out, but there are a lot of people who can't make it this year, and they're selling their tickets. And I have access to help you get a ticket if you're interested. I think the tickets are normally like $700, but people are selling them for less than that. So it's definitely worth it to just go check out the website and see if it's something you're interested in. If you want to learn more, you can message me. But that event is one of the reasons I'm here today. It changed my life. All right. Here is a coach and a podcast host doing something different than what I did for most of my life. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next week. Next week, I'm interviewing Whitney Irwin, and Whitney is one of my coaches. She's a holistic coach, so she's given me some herbal teas and some different things that really are helping me with stress and some other areas of my life. And we're going to talk all about that and about the ways that she helps women. So I hope you can join that show next week with Whitney Irwin. I'm trying to share with you guys some of the things that I've been doing in order to create a life I love living. And meeting Sparkle, people like her, and working with Whitney, who's going to be on the show next week, are some of the ways that I've done that. So thank you for watching. Talk to you later. Onward Live is sponsored by Emily Harman Coaching and Consulting. Visit my website, emilyharman.com, to learn more about me and my coaching programs. I'd love to help you create a life you love living. Remember, every adversity is our own personal university. Sometimes the lessons are difficult, and we must learn from our experiences. Vulnerability is your superpower. You are lovable and worthy. And we discuss these topics and more because professional is personal. Thank you for joining us and engaging